What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down Baker Mayfield's throwing mechanics. I think he's got a very interesting motion. He's got a lot of velocity on this ball, and today we're going to talk about what makes him so special. Okay, and quarterbacks, if you guys want to learn how to read coverages, identify defenses, that's probably, I would say, the most important thing that a quarterback has to learn. Check out that link in the description that says learn how to read defenses. All right, let's get started with this breakdown. So the first throw we're going to do here, we're going to watch this thing full speed. The main thing I want to focus on is his hip drive, okay? He really pivots off of this back foot and really keeps that back foot connected, and that's what gives him a lot of velocity on this throw. For a guy his size, a lot of people talked about they weren't sure if he had the strongest arm, but I think he had one of the strongest arms when he was coming out of college, and I think he could make every single throw on the field, okay? So now he's going to be throwing this whole shot fade right here. Very hard throw, especially after he's gone through some progressions, but let's talk about this thing. So you see how strong of a base he's in, right? He's sitting his butt down. He's in a glute dominant position. He's in a strong position, right? His knee isn't sitting way over his toes, right? He's actually sitting his butt down. What I see a lot of quarterbacks do is their butt is vertical. They're not dropping their butt at all. It's not like they're sitting in a chair and their knees are hanging way over in front of their toes, right? And that calls for a flawed motion because you can't get enough drive that you need from your legs and actually drive straight at the target. So you see when he starts to take this ball back, he starts to push off of that back leg, right? You can start to see that shin angle start to come forward, and now he's going to turn that ground force into rotational force. Now, when we talk about his upper half, we're going to talk about this front arm in a second in this next clip, but you see how this is his backstroke, right? His backstroke is in this almost opposite L, not perfect, right? But he's in this backstroke, and that's all you need, right? Everybody throws the ball different. Everybody takes the ball back different, right? But if I could keep this front shoulder closed and take this thing back in this L, or somewhere thereabouts. I'm not saying it has to be in a perfect L every time. I don't believe that. I don't believe that everybody has to throw the thing the same way. But if we could get some kind of a backstroke and let my hip drive, you see here, his hip drive is what brings him up to 90. A lot of people just lift the ball. They take the ball from right here and they lift it straight up behind their head. That's not what I want. I want some kind of a backstroke. I want to rotate my sternum and let my hips rotate through. Now, the way Baker throws this thing is he just pivots so much off of this leg. You see how much he's pivoting off of that back leg. And what that does is that gets his hips going to the target. The way I teach my younger quarterbacks who struggle getting their hips through is I want to get your belly button to the target of the throw. So you see how his belly button is straight to where he's trying to throw this thing. That's how you know that your hip is coming through. But I want your belly button to come through before the ball, and don't let that shoulder swing open when you get your belly button to the ball. That's what we call torque, right? Your hip is coming through first, and the ball here is chasing the hip. That's the position that I want to be in. And you see he's got a lot of velocity, a lot of speed on this thing, and he keeps those shoulders square, kind of leans out of it with his head a little bit. That's fine. Great anticipation on this throw, and you see how he keeps this back leg connected to the grass. A lot of people ask me that, should I pick up my back leg or should I drag it? I think dragging it, if you struggle with balance and when you make a throw and you fall out of there, or you struggle with power, I think dragging your back leg is something that you could definitely try because it keeps you connected to the grass, and the grass is where your turf, whatever you want to call it, is keeping your force. That's what's generating power, right? Your feet in the ground. That's what I can't stand it when QBs in quick game, they jump and then they come back down, then they throw. That's not how you generate power, because you have to come back down. So if guys swing this front leg over, I'm not saying that's bad. It's just a problem when you make it a problem. If you don't have impeccable balance on that front leg, swinging that leg is going to make you off balance, and it might swing your front side out of there. So dragging your foot is always a good, I think a good starting point if you're not really sure if that's something you struggle with balance on the throw. But if you bring it up out of the ground, like obviously not like a pitcher, but you bring it off the ground a little bit, I don't think it's a big deal because a lot of quarterbacks do that. Like I said, everybody throws it different. Part of it's finding what works for you, but there are these consistencies that a lot of elite passers, guys who have a lot of velocity, a lot of power, that are consistent have, okay? And that's what I'm trying to get on this, okay? So let's watch this thing full speed one more time. Just take away from this his hip drive, how his hips are coming through first, okay? So let's watch this thing again. Shoulders go back, hips coming through, a lot of velocity. See how much energy this thing finishes with. That's a great shot by Baker Mayfield, okay? So now we're going to talk about his front shoulder. So let's watch this again. So I want you to see how his front shoulder stays square, and that's what gives him torque, okay? So when I'm in this position to throw, again, where's he at? Glute dominant position, okay? But that's all we're really going to talk about with the legs. So with his upper half here, he has this ball on this shelf, right? I know a lot of quarterbacks like to hold this thing in the middle of their chest. That's fine too. Wherever you hold it, all I want to make sure is that your traps are relaxed and your elbows are relaxed, okay? So wherever I hold this thing, I just don't like it up by the ear, because if you hold this thing way up by your head, it's impossible to relax your traps, okay? So here is about as high as I like it. They call it that shelf, right? The old school Tedford thing, they call it the shelf. But relaxing those elbows, keeping that nose down, right? Being very relaxed. They call this opposite equal, right? What his right arm is doing, his front arm is doing as well, right? Opposite equal means a couple things, but this is one of those. So now, when he takes this ball back, you see how he's rotating this shoulder, right? He keeps this shoulder on Gordon here, okay? So that's a great position to be in. That's something that you guys can think about. You want to keep your eyes level, and you want to keep your shoulder on the target as long as possible, and let your hips swing the ball through. What a lot of people do in this position is they take that elbow and they swing their elbow down. It's not going to give you any torque. That's actually going to lose power for you. I was always, when I was younger, I'd have to go in one ear and out the other because I knew better to take this front elbow, and I was taught swing this thing down as hard as you can for power. Now, the problem with that is when I swing my elbow down, my release pops up high, right? And then I got this real high release, and I'm coming down on the ball rather than rotating. You want to let your hips and your core make this throw, right? So you see how he's here, and this elbow kind of tucks to his body. He's not swinging it down, and he finishes with this hand right here, right? And you see where his release is. His release is at a great point. He's rotating through with this hip, and you can see here how his hip is coming through before the ball. Now, he kind of has this position with his arm because he does open up that front shoulder, I would say maybe a little bit sooner than a guy like Tom Brady, right? Or a guy like Drew Brees. You see a guy like Tom Brady or Drew Brees, when they take this ball back, that hand stays there the entire time. Mayfield just swings that shoulder down a little bit, but he's not swinging this elbow down. His hand stays at the same spot. When your hand stays here, that's when we're going to be consistent with my release point. We're going to be able to release level. Now, when I open up this shoulder, sometimes if, let's say, I release this thing too early, I might be pushing this thing outside of my frame with my follow through if I swing this over a little bit too much. But I think this is about the extent of it that I like, right? As long as that left shoulder isn't behind him, that's when we lose torque. As long as he can stay kind of square right here and that left shoulder isn't directly behind him and I'm doing this like open replace thing, I'm cool with that, okay? But just make sure that left hand stays in front of your face here like Mayfield's does. My shoulder can open up a little bit. I'm not saying we're trying to look like robots out here, right? But just you're going to get more torque if you could keep that shoulder on the target and let your hips shoot through, and that's what rotates the ball, okay? You're going to get more torque on this thing, all right? So that's what we got to focus on. Letting your shoulders stay back, letting your hips do everything for you, and then you see how he rotates through this thing with his back shoulder on the target. That's a great mechanically sound throw here by Baker. Opens up that shoulder a little bit sooner than you see a lot of other elite passers do, but still, he still finishes relatively square. He gets his hips making this throw. He doesn't dip his elbow, so he doesn't have a high release. Just if he's probably, when Baker misses, it's not high or low, it's probably left or right because he kind of swings that shoulder open a little bit more, okay? So let's watch this throw again. A lot of torque, a lot of velocity on this thing because he's got great hip drive pivots off that back leg. Okay, so now we're going to talk about, this is more of an advanced throw, I guess you could say. This is an off-platform throw. Okay, so we're going to talk about what to do when we make these off-platform throws. So let's watch this thing again. This is, to be a successful quarterback, you need a lot of luck, right? And this is honestly, it's in the perfect spot, right? But I think he'd probably tell you that a lot of things could have gone wrong right here, and very few things could have gone right, but the one thing that needed to happen, happened, and it's because the ball's in a great spot, right? We gave our guy a chance. We threw this thing in the perfect spot to make this throw. So a lot of it's talent, but sometimes we need a little luck at the quarterback position, right? And I think Baker's one of those guys that when he gets out of the pocket like this, he can make something happen. And a lot of the times, right, this is something that we talk a lot about on my website in terms of like man coverage, right? A lot of the times it's about giving your guy a chance, right? He's downfield. I got to give him a chance, maybe throw it above the rim for him, right? But let the athletes out there go make a play, right? They're athletes. They're out there for a reason. They're out there to make the quarterback look good, but B, to go out there and make a play. They're playmakers. That's why we have them on the outside. So let's give them a chance, right? So now the mechanics of this off-platform throw here. Off-platform, all I mean by that is I don't necessarily even believe in the term. I talk about this a lot with some of the quarterbacks that I work with. I don't believe in the term off-platform. I think you're always on your platform. They say essentially this is like when you're drifting, right? I'm drifting out of there, or I'm on the run and I don't have my feet set underneath me. But I think when it's time to make the throw, I get on the platform. It's just a little bit quicker. I might not have as much balance, okay? So that's what I believe off platform is. But it's something that you do got to work, and that term is thrown around a lot. But that's just my belief on this thing, because you see when he makes this throw, he is getting on platform, right? He's on platform here. Yes, he is drifting. I guess that's why they call it off platform, right? And we work this throw all the time. But there are a couple key things that we just got to make sure that we do when we make an off platform throw. This lead leg gets in the ground, and it's in the direction of the throw, right? A lot of people, when they're drifting to their backside, they'll try to make this off-platform throw, and that left leg or their front leg, like let's say if you're a lefty and you're drifting to the right, will shoot way outside to the left here. And then their whole body is falling this way, where they're trying to throw here, and then they miss high or they miss to the right because they released this thing early. The key is I got to be able to drive. I'm still getting my hips through. This front leg is cutting off the target, but your shoulders are most important, right? Because you got to make sure that I rotate my shoulders, because that's what's going to give me torque. Because you're already drifting. You already have some momentum. And when you drive and you get your front foot down, your hips are already going to be shooting through. But if I swing open that front shoulder, I got nothing. The ball will have zero pop. That's why before, a lot of people who didn't understand the torque with your shoulders, that's why you see quarterbacks a lot of the times, old school, would open up that front shoulder. They would rarely make these throws, right? They wouldn't make these throws because it was not called setting your feet, right? You want to set your feet to everything. That's what a lot of coaches say, right? But there are situations where the window to throw is there. If Baker waits a second longer on this to set his feet and stop, one, he's taking a shot from two guys that are much bigger than him, and two, the window to throw is not there, right? He's going to be throwing this thing, and Jarvis is going to have to stop, or he's going to throw this thing out of bounds, right? Sometimes we just got to be able to make this throw right now. So he's drifting, front foot down, shoulders back. I'm still letting my hips make this throw. And you see he's light on the front leg. I think the key for off platform is being able to drive off of this back leg, but being light on your front leg and giving my guy a chance, driving this thing downfield. That's a great throw by Baker Mayfield right there, putting that thing in the perfect spot, right? Got to have some luck to play this position. Let's watch this throw again one more time. So light on the front foot, let my shoulders go back, let my hips swing everything through. Great shot by Baker Mayfield. I hope he has a bounce back year this year. Really excited to see him play. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. Please check out that link in the description if you want to get better at reading coverages, understanding defenses. I think IQ is probably the most important thing any young quarterback, any quarterback needs to improve on. And I'll see you guys next time.